Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5 a.m. Club. I come to you from a different location today. I'm in a boat on a fishing charter, heading off for a day's fishing with the Mytilenean Brotherhood, and we're just off the coast here of Wollongong. We've left Cronulla Wharf, and we're probably about 1 hour into our morning trip so far. And as you can see, the horizon is pretty cloudy. Not much of a breeze. The swell is reasonable, so no white caps, and looking pretty good out here. So I can't wait to start fishing and see if we can catch anything. Anyway, what I'd like to do is, instead of going on a walk and talk, let's just go on a cruise and talk. I'm just sitting here at the front of the boat. It's rocking all over the place. I've had 2 hours sleep, and we'll see how we fare today. So what I'll do is I'll turn the camera around so we can have a bit of a chat together. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, here we go. There we go. I'll just extend this bar so we can get the right sort of angle, and we'll do our 5 a.m. club. So we're going to do a book summary today, and the book summary is entitled The Geography of Genius by an author named Eric Weiner. Eric Weiner. And it's a book on history. We look at the history of the world and of different sort of societies and communities, and try and assess what it is about these particular communities, what is it about this particular point in time that changed the world and had an influence which outlived those times many years ago. So the author reminds us that history is basically the untallied sum of millions of everyday moments. And you could also extend that to the fact that our lifetimes, our experiences, are basically an untallied sum of all of our moments put together. So you can choose to have memorable moments, good moments, or you can choose to have, an inventory of unhappy moments. The bottom line is, it's up to you to determine, to decide what sort of inventory, what sort of listing, what sort of experiences you're going to have by how you shape them and how you colour them with the thoughts that you have and the way you describe those stories, not only to others but also to yourself. So the first culture that the author talks about is the Greek culture, and not only the Greek culture but ancient Athens. So the author here says that ancient Athens, and I'm not saying this, the author is saying this, so don't think that I'm making it up or flying the flag of Athens and Greece because of my Greek background. But we have an author by the name of Eric Weiner, which doesn't sound Greek to me, but he's the one who pieced together this book. And he said that ancient Athens is the grandmother of genius. It's a big call. Anyway, let me turn the camera around and we'll get the other angle, because we've got the sunrise happening there in the background. It's going to struggle to get through and above those clouds, but sooner or later we will see the rays of sun. So let's go and dig a bit deeper now into this ancient Athens being the grandmother of genius. And he says that 2,000 years ago, Athens was a frontier of human progress. So not only was Athens a place of trade and opportunity, but it was also considered to be a frontier of genius. So ancient Athens, according to this author and according to the history that we understand, had many playwrights, statesmen, philosophers, and some of the greatest minds of all time. So good old Athens. And what made Athens special and unique and enabled it to stand out and be a fulcrum for the rest of the world to get to leverage from was that the Athenians were proud citizens. And not only were they proud, but for those who know the Greeks and know Greek people, they also competed with each other to see who could contribute the most to their families, to their local communities, and to their nations. So this whole sense, this whole sense of competition was the basis that enabled people to try and do the best they could, to try and outdo each other, to try and learn from each other, and all of that helped, as this author says, to enrich the locals and to enrich their societies. Because what happened was that the ones who were successful and who acquired wealth were the ones who also invested that wealth not only into the basic needs of their families and their communities, but into the more enhanced activities such as the arts and entertainment, which helped ensure that the culture would advance, giving creativity a huge backdrop. So, and the other great thing about the Greeks and the Athenians in particular was that they traded, they travelled, they set up communities in other parts of Europe, because back then there were 1,500 city-states which made up Greece, and each of these city-states would compete against each other to set up colonies all over the known world. But the Greeks were not afraid to adopt and adapt foreign ideas. So it wasn't all about just being original in your thought and in your activities, but it was basically welcoming the ideas of others, of other communities that you traded with. So they welcomed those ideas, those technologies, and they weaved them into their communities and their societies, and they adopted foreign ideas like the Egyptian architecture, according to this author. They adopted foreign ideas like Egyptian architecture, the Phoenician alphabet, and the Babylonian number system. So they took those pieces, those morsels, those gifts from other communities, and what they did was they pieced them together and weaved them together into their community and built upon those things. So they took it, they used it, they weaved it, and they added to it, and they passed it on. So they lived, learned, and passed it on, which is one of the themes of Jim's 5am Club. And the other thing that the Athenians did wasn't was that they walked everywhere. This is another point that the author makes. And for each and every one of us, we need to understand that walking is really, really important, because it's good for our health, and it also boosts our cognitive and creative abilities. So once again, we have lessons in history which remind us of the importance of exercise, because through exercise we learn to become healthier, more creative, and our minds seem to thrive on the motion that is created through walking. So that's about